10 Great Ways to Trick Your Brain. The human mind is the main motivation behind our express predominance on Earth. We will be unable to fly, have the best hooks, or run especially quick, yet because of the ability of our minds, we have figured out how to climb our way to the highest point of the transformative progressive system. In spite of the entirety of that, however, the mind despite everything has its confinements. There are numerous things we can't do in light of those restrictions, and such failures frequently appear even from a pessimistic standpoint. Thankfully for all of us, researchers are reliably taking a shot at thinking of hacks to beat our mind's cut-off points, as there is still a great deal we don't comprehend about the most significant piece of the body. Here are 10 different ways you can hack your cerebrum to further your potential benefit, as per science. Be more attractive by believing you smell good. It comes as an astonishment to nobody that smelling lovely makes you progressively appealing to the other gender, as we naturally partner smell with cleanliness. It's a more downplayed signal of allure than other, clear ones, similar to looks or character. However, it by the by assumes a similarly significant job in choosing the result of a date. We're discussing how you smell, yet additionally how you think you smell. According to an investigation, only accepting that you smell pleasant expand your odds of getting with the women. The examination was just finished with male subjects. Researchers gave scented splash to one portion of a gathering of equally alluring members and a conventional, unscented shower to the next half and took recordings. They at that point demonstrated the recordings to a gathering of ladies, requesting that they rate the men on engaging quality. Shockingly, the ladies evaluated the men with the scented splash to be increasingly appealing, regardless of whether they had no chance to get of knowing how the men smelled just from video clips. It recommends that self-recognition doesn't simply impact the degree of your certainty, yet in addition influences how others see you. Use gestures to prepare for a test. Understudies utilize an assortment of procedures to assist themselves with holding data before an up-and-coming test, from the customary recording things to the more new-age yoga before a considering meeting. As us all know, however, the majority of those methods are all in or all out, as nobody has had the option to consummately make sense of the most ideal approach to ensure memory maintenance. While we're not professing to have illuminated pre-test arrangement, there's one deductively demonstrated strategy you can utilize that unquestionably works: utilizing motions while studying. 2 studies have discovered that when you use signals to disclose the data to yourself, the mind holds it unmistakably more adequately than, talking it out resoundingly or in any event, recording it. Indeed, in one examination, analysts found that solitary talking while at the same time learning an idea had no impact on data maintenance by any stretch of the imagination. Use the sun to hallucinate. While we'd prefer to repeat our position against mishandling drugs for amusement, we need to concede that mind flights are great. There are a couple of things as fun as making the cerebrum see things that aren't there. But since unlawful medications appear to be the best way to do it, numerous individuals never get the chance to encounter it. In case you're one of them and might want to know how it feels without being on an inappropriate side of the law, there's some uplifting news. As one physiologist from the 19th century discovered, all you have to fantasize without drugs is the sun. Just close your eyes and point them toward the sun. At that point, wave your hand to and fro over the face while keeping one eye secured. Really soon, you'll begin seeing shapes, and keeping in mind that the specific figures fluctuate as indicated by individual, you can expect pipe dreams like spirals, hexagons, or squares. 3. Another way you can legitimately daydream is by misusing something many refer to as the Ganzfeld impact, wherein the cerebrum fills in visual data of its own after extensive stretches of tactile hardship. Simply put a bit of white paper over your eyes, rests under splendid white light, and use commotion offsetting earphones to obstruct any stable for 20 minutes. At the point when you get up, you'd be blessed to receive some old-fashioned visuals, as they apparently call them in the realm of unlawful medications. Trick your brain into thinking a rubber arm is real. We've all heard of the phantom limb, wherein people who've had limbs amputated can still feel the presence of their missing appendage, to the extent that they can feel pain and other sensations in it. While still mind-blowing, it has been extensively studied and talked about. What's surprising, however, is that you can do something similar with your existing limbs, as well. In an experiment, researchers asked volunteers to put both their arms on the table, with their right hand inside a box. They then placed a rubber arm on the box and aligned it with the participants' right shoulders in the same position as their real arms, with just the tips of fingers visible. When the scientists stroked both the fake and real hands for a minute or two, they were surprised to find that eventually, the volunteers started perceiving the fake hand as the real one. For scientists don't quite understand how it works, though they're sure that it has something to do with how the brain gives priority to visual cues over anything else while determining the ownership of its parts. Now you definitely can't use this one to, say, get out of tricky situations, but it makes for a freaky diversion at otherwise dull parties. Stop yourself from choking by singing. How frequently has it happened that you're called to talk before a gathering, and before you can say anything, the words appear to stall out in your throat? It's not simply mental, either. For some individuals, that stifling is very genuine. Furthermore, perceiving how open talking is probably the greatest dread around, it happens to a larger number of individuals than you'd might suspect. On the off chance that just there was an approach to counter it. Fortunately for all of us, science has made sense of an approach to successfully stop stifling in high-stress circumstances. You should simply sing a melody to yourself, as it diverts the mind and reduces the sentiment of frenzy you get in those moments. 5. In the event that singing is certainly not a socially satisfactory choice, such as during a gathering, you can likewise attempt different things like tallying in reverse from any number or just centering different things. Listen to classical music to improve learning. Music affects all of us in different ways that we can't quite put into words. Essentially, though, it's an escape from the sounds of the real world and can get us through some difficult times. It's also related to productivity, as anyone who has ever breezed through a deadline with their earphones plugged in can tell you. However, because everyone's brain is different, and music appeals in a different way to everyone, we don't have a unified theory on how it relates to productivity. While it will be some time before we can perfectly figure that out, thanks to one study, we know of one type of music that increases creativity and learning for everyone, regardless of their preference: classical music. In the study, 249 students were observed during a lecture, albeit in two groups. One had classical music playing in the background during the lecture, the other did not. When they tested them in a multiple-choice exam immediately afterward, they were surprised to find out that the students who learned with classical music performed much better. 6. Aroma of rosemary improves mental ability. The benefits of essential oils on the brain are oft repeated but largely unproven. We're not denying their effectiveness in making you feel good, which can automatically have a positive effect on your brain. In terms of tangible benefits, though, none of the essential oils are scientifically proven to do anything. Well, except for rosemary. Presumably in a bid to decisively prove the essential oils crowd wrong, researchers put a bunch of people in a room filled with rosemary aroma and asked them to do a variety of subtraction and visual information processing tests. To their surprise, and possibly dismay, there was a definite improvement in the participants' performance as the scientists increased the dosage of the aroma. 7. They're not quite sure why that is, but it suggests that rosemary has a positive impact on the brain's cognitive abilities, so stock up on it before your next test. Chew gum to reduce anxiety and depression. Apart from the approximately 6 seconds that the flavor lasts, chewing gum doesn't seem to have any benefits at all. Despite it not clearly falling into any category of things, like food or activities, many people love to chew gum, and it remains a largely successful industry. What gives? According to science, there are some clear benefits to chewing gum, and it is one of the few proven ways you can force your brain to behave that we know of. In a study, they found that chewing gum significantly lowers anxiety levels. The effects were most pronounced after 2 weeks of regular gum chewing. That probably explains why that guy who was always chewing gum in high school was so chill, though it doesn't stop there. Gum chewers also fare better at battling depression and fatigue than others. Study in spaced intervals to retain more information. Students have been trying to find the perfect way to study in order to fare better at exams since time immemorial, albeit without much success. Even scientists aren't exactly sure about how memories are formed in the brain, and figuring it out has been a long-standing pursuit in the neuroscience world. One oft-repeated technique that is thought to work before tests is the brute force method. Just continuously read the subject matter, and you're bound to remember it sooner or later. We believe it because everyone says it works, though according to some research, it actually makes you remember less information than if you'd studied in intervals. Known as spaced repetition, this method requires you to take breaks in the learning process instead of repeatedly trying to cram information in. Studies prove that the latter is actually detrimental to retaining information, as the brain needs time to make the connections required to form a lasting memory. Your brain may trick you into thinking you are happy by smiling. People smile because they're happy, as most of us must have figured out by now. It's a purely social feature of the body, and its only purpose is to let other people know that you're having a good time, even if it's fake. What most people may not know, however, is that smiling isn't just a response to being happy, it works the other way around, too. As many studies have found, just the act of smiling releases a bunch of feel-good chemicals, like dopamine and serotonin, in your brain. It also reduces stress and anxiety in high-pressure situations, lowers blood pressure, and may even help you live longer. More interestingly, it doesn't matter if you don't feel like smiling at all, the mere act of smiling causes the brain to do all of those things, regardless of any other factors.